here on Eastern on a beautiful Saturday morning. This is my 1930 Model A Ford Cabriolet 68B. Uh, this car came originally from outside of Boston, Massachusetts. It belonged to my grandfather for 59 years. 13 years ago, when he passed on, it went to the estate, and the family decided that I ought to have it and take care of it. As you see, the car is how it was last restored in the 1980s. It has the original engine in it, all 28 horsepower of it, and my wife and I enjoy driving around. We've had it in Hawaii, and it's been in Washington State. We recently moved here in the last 4 months. Yeah, I try to come out to the car show on Eastern every other week if I can, maybe every third week. Like anything, busy with schedules, but I love to come out and see all the different variety of cars that show up at this show. Coming from a small town in Washington and coming to Las Vegas with all the vehicles here has certainly been a treat. In the 1970s, Ford built cars called Shays, and they had a modern engine in them out of a Pinto, modern drivetrains, braking systems, and power steering. It makes it a lot easier to drive. Those cars are now becoming more collectible all the time, and they're pretty fun to drive. You can go great distances with those cars as compared to this one. You wouldn't want to drive this car any more than 25 or 30 miles because it feels like you've been in a wrestling match when you're done. Although they say there's people who have driven these things across the United States, it would never be me, I can assure you of that. I can't. I have an electronic journal of a woman and her 2 daughters that drove from New York City to Seattle, Washington in a Model T. And her husband had perished at the wharfs in New York City. And she was all alone, and she had to drive across the U.S. with her daughters. And just an amazing story how she traded for kerosene and gasoline to get her where she needed to go, but ultimately made it. And her diary ended up in her family, and they had it publicized and put online. I do all the maintenance to it. I've done several mechanical things that it needed when it needed it, but no, I don't want to change the car. This is how my grandfather had it. I have a picture book inside the car that shows the car when it was being worked on, and I was just a little boy. When my grandfather showed up, we knew we were going for ice cream rides, and that car is a lot of memories right there.
And the rumble seat, tell me about the rumble seat.
The rumble seat, this car being a cabriolet came standard with a rumble seat and not a trunk. It's when you ride back there, there's a lot of spring in these old cars, and hold on tight, that's all I can say. I lived in Amelia Island, Florida, where the Amelia Island Concourse is, and I lived there for a long period of time, and that critter one day came onto my buddy's property, and we removed him, and as you see him there today. Yeah, come on down east, and I'll see you next week at the car show.